Hey there, welcome to PCMag Live. I'm Samara Lynn here with Max Eddy, and we have today's top tech news for you. As always on our show, we have the one cool thing to take off one of our test benches and show to you, and we have one of your questions. So let's get right to the news. So Max, we read something today about Google Glass and eye fatigue.
Yeah, so it sounds like one of Google's eye doctor consultants has pretty much concluded that using Google Glass isn't very good for your eyes. The placement of the viewing prism makes you look up, and apparently that's just not a natural thing to do. I think this is particularly interesting considering that we see this trend of adding Google Glass to like high-octane professions like law enforcement and doctors. See previous PCMag Live videos for more information about that. So I'm not sure what this is going to mean for Google Glass, if anything, but I do remember that Google is very big about saying don't use it all the time. It doesn't have a long enough battery life. It's not really a great way to interact with it. So it's kind of a weird little thing.
This is a real potential problem because this doctor apparently said that this can happen, this sharp eye pain, with just after like 10 minutes of wear. And I mean, this device is being pushed for surgeons to use in an operating room, and you know, surgery can last for hours. So I mean, it's a potential deal breaker for using in a lot of professional settings.
I'm just thinking of what's going to happen. Like, you know, I always go for my phone, think it's buzzing. What's going to happen when people use this all day? Their eyes are going to be twitching all the time, looking for the thing.
Right. Well, we'll see if, like again, if that's a deal breaker with the adoption of this thing. So our next story, eBay. Now, there was some sort of confusion where eBay sent a message telling its users to change its passwords, but then all of a sudden that message disappeared.
Yeah, this morning they posted on their community pages for eBay and PayPal that it was time for users to change their passwords, but inside of that post there was just the words placeholder text. So that to me says that this was an accident and that taking it down wasn't some kind of secret conspiracy. So I think everyone should probably calm down. But this is a good time to remind everyone to use a password manager. Dashlane and LastPass are great options. We love them because when things like this actually do happen, those password managers make it much easier to quickly put in a new, unique password.
And just to add another interesting twist, just about like 2 minutes ago, our news director, Chloe, sent me a link saying that the message from eBay was back up and live online. So it does appear to be legit. Don't know if there's been some sort of breach yet. I guess this is kind of a breaking news, but they are encouraging users to change their passwords.
Well, one way or another, it sounds like somebody hit publish a little too early on that.
Yeah. So we're going to keep an eye on that. So now, third story. The FBI apparently is looking to recruit hackers, but there's a big problem. They can't find hackers who don't smoke weed. So apparently their recruiting efforts are hitting a bit of a wall.
Yeah, it sounds like when they do the interviews, one of the things they ask you, and one of the things they will test for when you have to take a drug test, is the use of marijuana. And
yeah, law enforcement's kind of funny like that.
They're just not able to pass that threshold, seems like. Yeah.
Well, I think it's hilarious. The FBI director said, and this is kind of a quote, I have to hire a great workforce to compete with these cyber criminals, and some of these kids want to smoke weed on the way to the interview. I think that's hilarious.
So for all of you hackers out there trying to get a job and with the federal government, make sure that you don't smoke weed on the way to your interview.
Or just everyone keep doing that so that they're forced to change their laws, their rules. So anyway, okay, so our question of the
day comes from Tony, who writes via email. Mind on the task. Any great options for syncing contact lists between Google and Outlook? Samara, you know all about this.
Well, yeah, and you know, this has been a problem for years, and really years ago it was very difficult to do because, of course, Microsoft wants you to use Microsoft and Google wants you to use Google. But since everything's now becoming more converged, we have cloud services, you really do have to have that integration. Now, traditionally in a business setting and in the IT world, what we usually gave employees who want to do that was an app called Google Sync for Outlook. And it's a download made by Google for Gmail. And what it does is it will acts as a connector between the Outlook client. This is not Outlook.com. So if you're using Outlook.com, you do have to install either the Outlook 2007, 2010, 2003 client. So it will act as a connector between the client and Gmail. And that's the way you can sync up the contacts. You can also use a third-party app. There's a couple there. There's one called Go Contact Sync Mod. It's an open source tool that'll sync up your contacts between Outlook and Gmail. And also another thing you can do too, there's actually quite a few third-party apps if you can Google them and just put syncing between the two platforms. But what you can do also is you can look into a free CRM solution like Insightly or any one of the CRM online tools out there. And a lot of times they will have built-in connectors that will take your contacts from Outlook and from Gmail, from wherever you have them, and they'll sync them into one centralized place. So yes, there are solutions. You might have to do a little bit of research, but they are out there and it is possible.
Well, Tony, I hope that answered your question. If you have questions, be sure to send us emails, put them in the YouTube comments, or on Facebook or on Twitter, however you want to get a hold of us, and we'll answer them here for you. And now I think it's that time.
Yep. Our one cool thing, of course, is the Surface Pro 3.
Is anyone really surprised?
That is gorgeous. So this is right hot from the event yesterday from our hardware team. And just a quick rundown, you can see it comes with this really cool stylus pen that you can use to actually write on screen, and whatever you write with it gets converted into actual data. So that's like pretty cool. And this, of course, has a Core i5. It's got 256 gig drive, I believe, with an SSD drive for performance, 8 gigs of RAM, and it starts at about $800. But now, what we were all discussing was that it doesn't come with this nifty cover and keyboard.
The TypePad cover is a little bit larger, and it's I think it's a little bit nicer than the last one, but it is an extra $129. It will get you an extra pen, though. The pen comes with the device. You buy the TypePad, you get another pen as well. And I think this really adds a whole other dimension to it. You know, Microsoft is trying to do this thing where they're going to give you an all-in-one device, the ease of a tablet, the portability of a laptop, and all of the good things that you get with a desktop. And I think that this device feels great. It's got a great build to it. It's just wonderful. It's got this really nice hinge on the back so you can turn it into whatever you need to for any situation. The only thing that's holding me back is that I'm not very familiar with Windows 8, and this is a Windows 8 device. It uses all those great touch tools, but it also has like the familiar Windows desktop that you can access sometimes. I think that that might hold some people back, so I think that's still going to be a hurdle for them to cross, but it's a great device.
You know, a bunch of us were talking about this in the lab. I would say 99% of everybody in the workforce has used Windows. I just don't see that being a deal breaker. Yes, this isn't a device that you just pick up and use like, you know, presumably like an iPad, but I think most people who are in the modern day workforce have some experience with Windows. And Windows 8 to me is just as intuitive as any other Windows desktop. So one thing you mentioned that was very interesting about this was the difference in feel between this and the iPad, and we were talking about the touch experience. This really is quite a solid device, whereas, you know, Max, you kind of correctly point out the iPad sort of has a hollow kind of feel when you touch and poke and do all kinds of stuff with it. But anyway, we have a lot of coverage on this.
We have hands-on videos that you can check out on the website. We have comparisons between this and all sorts of other devices, so you can find out everything you would ever want to know about the Surface Pro 3. And I think that's it for today.
Yeah, and all those links will be in this video, so be sure to check them out. Yeah, that is it for today. Thank you, as always, for joining us, and come back tomorrow. Thank you.